Are you a dungeon master? Do you want to be a dungeon master? Do you have blue face paint on your face? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then you're just like me. Not only do you enjoy smashing players in the face with your axe every time they metagame, but you're also a busy person, and while prepping for a D&D game, well, sometimes that's hard. And as much as you'd like to force one of your players to run D&D for a change, well, they all suck, so it's pretty much up to you to be the forever dungeon master. And that's exactly why I get out my crayons every month and write a new issue of Lair magazine. Well, I mean, it's not just me, I have a team of people too. We all get out our crayons and write it, but yeah. Anyway, every issue of Lair magazine contains 5th edition Dungeon Master resources to help you reduce your prep time while still running amazing games for your lazy, good-for-nothing players. Every issue of Lair magazine contains 2 to 3 adventures complete with maps for online play. You know, we also sprinkle in other stuff like puzzles and traps, which, let's be honest, both suck to have to make yourself. So, I mean, wouldn't you rather just become a DM Lair patron and pay me to write them for you? I mean, you know, my team and I, with our crayons? Now, if you love your wonderful players as much as I do, consider helping me to meet my sales quota by becoming a DM Lair patron today at the link below. You'll get a new issue of Lair magazine every month and other cool stuff like map packs and bonus adventures. Okay, that's it. Please become a DM Lair patron now or I will find you.
Hey, what's going on, folks? Yeah, live stream time. We're going to be doing some Q&A. I'll answer your Game Master questions. We're going to talk about a couple things in the news that my buddy Zach shared with me that I thought were interesting. So yeah, it's going to be a fun time today. We are only going to be here for 2 hours because I have a meeting afterwards. Actually, my former team from the place I used to work gets together about once a month and we hang out and have lunch and stuff. So I always go to that, and that's today. So I have to cut out of here after 2 hours. So that's why, just in case you're like curiously wondering. Anyway, let's do the shameless plug stuff, and then we're gonna get into the Q&A. Okay, so I think the first thing we're gonna hit is we have a giveaway going on. We always have a giveaway going on. There's a link down in the chat where you can sign up for the giveaway. It's free, you do nothing but click some buttons and stuff, and then you can get a copy of Into the Fae, which was our first Kickstarter, or you can get store credit on the DM Lair store. We just released Layers and Legends Kickstarter PDFs on the DM Lair store too, so you can get those. Those are super cool. Also, by the way, for all of you Kickstarter backers who are waiting for your books for Layers and Legends and Loot and Lore, the pages have been printed. And they literally were waiting on me I received like some proofs and copies here, and they were literally waiting on me to approve them before they do the binding of everything. So everything's just waiting to be bound, and I approved them yesterday, so they should be hopping on the binding pretty darn soon. But what I wanted to show you was these are like the loose proofs. My cat Squeaky is just bothering me right now too. These are the loose proofs. So this is not actually bound. This is just literally what they do is they send me all of the pages, right? And then they send me like what the covers are gonna look like, but nothing has been bound. It's just for me to approve it, right? So that's what I have. I have this stuff for Layers and Legends, and then I have the one for Loot and Lore as well, and it's got the normal cover, and then it's got the alt cover as well. So these are gonna be bound pretty darn soon, and we are easily on track for fulfillment in April at this point. So one of the things I want to point out about these too, that folks who know a little something about book production and book quality are going to love this too. These books are meant to be stitch bound, which is a much higher way of binding books. Squeaky concurs. He's down here pawing at me. Now, if you look at almost any single Wizards of the Coast book, they are not stitch bound. They're just glue bound. They take all the pages that are just standard pages and they just plop them in glue. It's an inferior way of binding books. We don't do that. For this Kickstarter and all of our future Kickstarters, we actually have a very good printer who is going to be doing some amazing, like the books they are making are amazing. They're just stinking awesome. And so it's going to be stitch bound and much higher quality. I'm happy to say too that we went with super thick pages. Like the pages on these is, what was that, 124 GSM? It's like I don't know what that is in paperweight, but it's like super thick pages. They're like glossy, semi-gloss pages, crazy high quality. These books are going to be absolutely amazing. Oh, by the way, too, the covers The covers, we went with a super thick option for the covers. So we're gonna have like crazy quality books. These things they're hefty, they're beefy, heavy books too, which kind of sucks in a way because it makes shipping cost more. But the books are crazy high quality. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on that because I'm super excited. Now, once they get the books bound, what they're gonna do as well is they're gonna ship me, usually I get 3 copies of each book. So I'm gonna get a bunch of bound books too that I'm gonna be able to show off probably on a live stream just to let you guys see the bound books. So those are coming along very nicely. I'm very, very happy. I love the printer we're now working with. They do such a high quality job. So very, very happy because, you know, one of the things I wanted to improve upon from our first Kickstarter was improving the quality of the printed books themselves. And with this new printer, I'm very happy that we're able to do that. So I'm very excited. So I want to let you all know that. So that was an update on that front. And then should probably do the Patreon plugs. And then we're going to get into some news items that I thought were fairly interesting. So where's my screen for the Patreon plugs? All right, cool. So wonderful people that you are seeing on the screen right now are patrons of the channel, of the content that we create, and they help support everything that we do. They help keep the lights on. They literally pay for like all of the free stuff that we give you, the videos, the live streams, all of the free content on the dmlair.com, the free adventures, the free puzzles, the free traps that you can get over on our website. Lots of free stuff to help the community, to help dungeon masters, especially new dungeon masters and game masters who might not know quite where to start and need some resources to get them off the ground. So very appreciative of all our patrons who help support all of that. They also help support our premium content, such as Lair magazine, which is our monthly publication that goes out to all of our patrons. So these guys are awesome. I love you guys. Thank you so much. And then these folks right here, they throw extra money our way, so they get their names read out loud. And here let me get a drink first before I launch into this. 5e Magic Shop, Adam B, Adrian W, Alex S, Alexis S, Amanda W, Ambers, Angelique K, Anthony E, Art Soccer, Arutha, Ashley, Barban, Benjamin P, Brandon A, Carl C, Chedeff, Chad K, Chris C, Christian V, Christine B, Christopher G, Clay W, Coinslot, Colin W, Connor D, Contrary Gravy, Daniel S, Danny T, Dap, Dark Cloud, Roman numerals, Daz was up, David S, Derek E, Doug, Duty K, Dungeon of Terra, Dutch R, Edward L, Mfrabo, Endorian72, Eric B, Erno T, Flux, Forest Brew, Gabriel T, Gene A, Goliath Cleric, Gravy Chorn, Greg P, Gregory H, Guapo, Harlan S, Helltongue, HLD, Iron Cascade, it's Baoban, Izzy T, Jace F. Okay, now you're gonna calm down. If you start rubbing my camera, you're going on the ground. You understand? You understand? All right. I got a cat up on my desk. Jake F, Jacob K, Jelenko, James L, James N, Jan F, Jeff F, Jessica J, Jim P, JM, Joanne P, Joe E, John A, John C, John H, John P, John R, John the Wicked. Another cat just arrived down below and is meowing at me. Jonathan V, Johnny T, Joseph H, Josh M, Josh S, Joshua W, Justin N, K, Keith W, Kirby, Curryclaw, Kyle M, Letter Mage, Lionheart, Linda, Lord Pablo, Matlock, Magna, Malton M, Matthew J, Matthew C, Meep, Mike S, Mirostal, Mitchell, Mo20s, Mr. Owl, Mr. Linkanu, Nerd Glasses, Nessie, Old Mad Mage, O&D, Paul S, Penguin Butt, Pethnick, Pork Chop Bacon, Psycho John, Ramus, Randy B, Rebar, Renner C, Robert C, Robert J, Robin B, Don't Rub Against the Monitor, Russell L, Ryan, Sale R, Sakura, Sam B, Scott V, Sean S, Shadow 1317, Shane L, Sheila A, Simfan, Sir Evangelo, Son of a Sofa Man, Soul Fernox, Soul Naya, Stephen G, Stephen T, Sturm, Tata Tokens, Terran, Terry S, Terry V, The Three Quarters Hospital, The Old DM, The New Bad Ombre, Thiago P, Thomas F, Tim B, Timothy T, TK, Tom T, Travels the Lost, Trinity Series, Tyler R, Unalloyed, Undying Warlock, Valagor, Vladimir S, Walt O, Wesley K, William C, XX Redrum, Yoel R, Zachary J, Zeromon, Zombie Trami. Woo! Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. My cat is just in my face. Up in my business. He likes to rub against the monitor, which makes my monitor move. I don't like that. I have them like just how I want them. And then he likes to rub against cameras. He always wants to rub against cameras. He's like, he needs to rub against the desk. If he rubs against the desk, I think it would be fine. Okay, so I wanted to talk about a couple of news items on here that I thought were interesting. First of all, let's talk about it's related to the OGL stuff, but it's not gonna get, it shouldn't. Okay, now you're done. Now you're done. Now you're done. Okay. But it shouldn't get us all worked up, I don't think. I just thought it was something that was interesting. There we go. So basically, OGL co-creator Wizards picked the wrong Creative Commons license for D&D, is what the title of the article is. One of the co-creators of the original open gaming license for D&D has suggested Wizards made a blunder when putting rules into Creative Commons. Well, I mean, yeah, they were so desperate to staunch the bleeding because their whole shebang was going down the toilet that they just got it done. And now, as the dust settles, perhaps it was not implemented super well, I think is what we're finding. So there's blah, 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 blah. Okay. However, Ryan Dancy so if you don't know, they put the entire SRD 5.1 into a Creative Commons license. In its entirety, they just threw it in there. And then people have already commented about how things like Beholder and Strad von Zarovich are in there, and that Wizards is like giving away their IP or something, or blah, 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 I don't know. Anyway, people have already commented about that, so I'm not going to get into that. What they're saying here is Ryan Dancy, former D&D brand manager and one of the architects of the original D&D OGL, has criticized Wizards of the Coast for, in his view, using the wrong CC license, Creative Commons license. And then just to be totally forthright with you, I don't understand some of these intricacies myself. My man Zach is much more versed in these, and we work with a lawyer, an IP lawyer. We actually work with Azora Law, who advises us on these things. So I trust the experts to help me out with these things. I'm just kind of reading this because I thought it was interesting, but I don't fully understand this nor claim to. Just to be totally transparent with you. Anyway, what it says, Wizards has released its Creative Commons material under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License, CC BY 4.0. According to Dancy, this is an issue because CC BY does not require you to give the same rights to your derivative works to the public that you receive from the upstream contributors of the work you're using to make those derivative works. So supposedly you could use the SRD 5.1, but then you could use it to create something of your own. Let's pretend you made a game system or something, but then you could close off that game system and not give the same rights or something to the SRD 5.1 or that content or something. That's my understanding of this. So you could maybe do that or something. And then it says, to put it less confusingly, yeah, because I was confused. I was. Whereas the OGL requires derivative works to use the same license and keep their tabletop RPG content open, Dancy says that this isn't required under CC BY 4.0. Someone could take D&D's rules, make new content from it, and then close that content off with a new, more restrictive license. Okay. Did they spell license wrong? I swear they spelled license wrong. Isn't it like an S right there? Maybe they're not in the US. Maybe that's how you spell it somewhere else. Is Wargamer not based in the US? Because I swear that's not how you spell license. It's either a typo or no. Well, here they have it spelled properly. Somebody's got to help me. Is it a typo or is this? Are they in the UK? Is that what's going on here? If that's possible, it's still spelled wrong. Anyway, I'm picking on my friends over there. I love you guys. I'm just picking on you. Would Wizards intend to let someone take the rules of D&D and make a derivative work from it that possibly might be better, but which is probable? Close that work and fork the commons. Forking is a software development term. If you know what that means, then you'll understand that. If not, you can do a Google search and it's really easy to understand. I say no, they would not. Remarked, I guess forking probably isn't strictly a software development term. It might apply to other things. I've just only heard it in the context of software development, so you know. I would say they would not, remark Dancy on Twitter. They just used the wrong license. If correct, this wouldn't be an issue that impacts Wizards of the Coast. It might change the entire ecosystem that's developed around 5e and the OGL. Dancy reckons that the right copyleft license to use would have been CC BY SA. The crucial SA for share alike, meaning that all content published this way has to use the same license as the original. Okay. So they might have used the wrong license. There would have been a better one or something. However, while he thinks Wizards used the wrong license, it seems Dancy doesn't believe the mistake will have any dramatic impact. it is unlikely there will be much use, if any, of the CC BY fork, he says, suggesting that creators will continue to publish their work under the OGL just as they did before. I don't know, is that going to be true? That's my question. Are people going to keep using the OGL? I don't think the OGL is safe. I feel like there's nothing preventing Wizards of the Coast from trying this again in 6 months or a year. I don't think the OGL is safe until it is legally, until there is some sort of legal action that says that's completely irrevocable in legal terms. Now, of course, almost everybody with a brain and logic understanding of things believes that it's currently irrevocable. The problem is that there's just so much distrust of Wizards and what they might do in the future that I don't feel comfortable using the OGL, because they could 6 months from now do the same thing again. They might get a better case. They might, a lot of people might start going to the Creative Commons, and then 6 months from now they might want to pull it again. So I don't trust them is the problem. And as long as they still have it in their back pocket that they might come out and try to do this whole revocation thing or deauthorization of OGL version 1.0a, I just don't trust them. So I don't feel good using the OGL. I'm literally waiting, really anxiously waiting for Paizo and that massive community of people who are working on the ORC, the truly open license that's irrevocable. I want the ORC to come out as a license, and then I'm going to start using that almost assuredly. We got to look at the provisions of it and stuff. But then I'm also looking forward to Cobalt Press's Black Staff project. Nope, Black Flag. It's Black Flag. I always say Black Staff because it confuses me. Anyway, Cobalt Press's thing, I want their thing to come out. They got playtesting has started now for Black Staff Flag. Really, Cobalt Press, you made that was the wrong, for me personally, that was the wrong name, because I can't say Black Flag. I always want to say Black Staff. And you know why I want to say Black Staff? Because it's a Forgotten Realms thing from Waterdeep, where the top mage is called Black Staff. And I have ran my campaigns in Forgotten Realms in the Waterdeep setting since I was a kid. I've always used the Waterdeep setting. I'm getting away from it now and going and doing different things, but I just haven't blazoned in my brain Black Staff. And so you start saying Black Flag and I'm going to say Black Staff. So I'm going to get them confused from this day forward, I promise you. Anyway, the point is I'm waiting for them to come out with their system so that it's probably going to be 5e compatible, almost assuredly. And I'm sure they're going to use the ORC. So I'm just going to start wrapping things into that, all that kind of stuff when it gets out. That's the game plan right now. But I don't know. I don't think I trust the OGL. I don't trust Wizards. I don't trust what they're going to do or not do with stuff. So yeah, that's just how I feel. But anyway, they may have used the wrong Creative Commons, but it's probably not going to have a big impact. So there you go. What is it? What do they say? Madasan says Black Staff is the superior name. Black Flag sounds like a pirate TTRPG. I think that's what they were going for. I think that they were literally going for the pirate sound. I think that was their intention, I think. Goliath Cleric says nothing they have done has given any protection whatsoever to the OGL 1.0a. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what concerns me. That's why, and Goliath Cleric's on my core team too. He works for me. So that and he's our point on this stuff. That's what concerns me, is that there's just no protection, no yes but no, and it's just such an uncertain ground. So I don't know, I don't like it. I feel better not using it. Tashio says CC BY is better for content creators because you get to retain your IP, whereas CC BY SA, you have to make your own content available under that same license. That's interesting too, because if that's, assuming that's the case, then I would want, see, one of the reasons that the OGL is great is that you can use the SRD, but you also can designate the things that is your IP that is not part of that license, right? And that's the great thing. You can say, we're using this from somebody else, and it's always open, but there's some stuff that we're creating in our content here that is not open, right? And that we're retaining rights to, right? So that's the beautiful thing about the OGL. You have that option. Now, with the new Creative Commons that they release things under, there doesn't appear to be a provision for that. which basically means that if I wanted to share some of the stuff I'm making, that license doesn't help me. I need to do something else, presumably. But if I don't want to share any of my content, then I could just pop in their Creative Commons license and I would use the SRD 5.1 stuff, but all of my stuff is still locked down for me, and then I can produce my stuff. So it is a little bit safer, I suppose, for me, because, you know, I don't have to worry about people, you know, taking my stuff and using it if I don't want them to, right? So that does make sense to me. But it's still, that's the beauty of the OGL, is that, you know, the way Ryan Dancy and his crew designed it is that you can, you know, use the SRD 5.1 stuff, but also designate anything of yours that you either, one, do want to make open for use, or two, would like to remain closed as your own IP. So that was the beauty of it. So I really want to see a world that returns back to that, so that we can do things comfortably as we've been doing them for 23 years. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Things just got to shake out, and in the meantime, we're just kind of making our best guesses on stuff, it feels like, and it's annoying. I keep picking up the wrong coffee cup. I have this coffee, this is my normal coffee cup that I use like every day. No, well, not, I mean, I have several coffee cups that I use every day. This is one of them. But that's not the one I use on the streams. I have a special cup for the streams, and I just keep grabbing the wrong one. Your Boise headphones are ruined? Oh man, did I do that? You just send Tashio the bill. Yeah, it's good. You mail that bad boy to Tashio. He'll get it. He'll pay. Okay, let's take a look at another thing. I'm gonna need your help on this one, guys, because I have some questions about this that I think people in chat might be more knowledgeable about. So let's go over here. Okay, so Wizards of the Coast is releasing a new book. Keys from the Golden Vault. It's a heist. It's a heist. Is it an anthology? Yeah, I think it's an anthology. It's always hard to tell what's in their books because they don't usually give good information about them, unless you watch the videos, which I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna watch their videos. I think it's an anthology, but it says that it's gonna take you from levels 1 to 11. Yeah, it is. It's standalone adventures. Okay, cool. It's supposed to be heist based or something. Well, I mean, I don't know. They did a heist once, Waterdeep Dragon heist, and most of that was not a heist. The last adventure in it, I think, probably was considered a heist, maybe, but the whole module was not, except for like maybe the last adventure. So I don't know that I don't remember too many details about that heist to even know if it was good or not. So yeah, I don't know. They've released so many flop products recently that I just don't have trust that they're going to put out a good product, you know. That's the problem I have. I'm losing trust in their quality. Their quality is declining, like nosediving. So anyway, but they're releasing this, and that's not my point. My point is this: what I really wanted to talk about is they have pre-orders up. Okay, they have pre-orders up. It says you can get. I'm gonna go bigger so you can see this a little bit better. You can get digital access to exhilarating heist adventures. Ooh, it's exhilarating. 2 weeks early when you pre-order the physical and digital bundle. So basically, and then I went over to, they have a link where you can go over to the page. And if you look at the page, you can basically, it's $60 and you get the physical book and the D&D Beyond version. And they got to look at, oh no, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to miss out. They have a timer going and I'm looking, oh no, go order now. But this, I'm sorry, I can't help it. This is what I'm getting at. I'm wondering, have they always done pre-orders for books 2 weeks early? Like on their site? Is that a thing? Like the physical book? I thought that was a thing you could do at game shops, like friendly local game shops. But now they're doing this thing. I think this is new. I think they started this with Dragonlance, which I'm going to talk about. But I think they started doing this with Dragonlance, where you could direct order from them 2 weeks early. Is this a new thing? No, it's not the first time they're doing physical books this way. They did this for Dragonlance. Dragonlance came out early too. So it was just Dragonlance. So this is what I'm getting at. This seems like, unless I'm missing something, this seems like a way that Wizards of the Coast is trying to directly compete with local game shops and get people to order directly from Wizards of the Coast instead of the local game shops. Unless I'm missing something, it seems like they're trying to screw over friendly local game shops to get people to order directly from them, not game shops. Because the way this works with game shops, guys, the way that works with any retailers is that if I make a book, I usually only charge the retailers half of the price. So if the cover price of my book is $50, I charge a retailer, a local brick and mortar shop, $25. So I just make $25 minus all my expenses. And then the brick and mortar shop sells it for $50. So I take half of the profit basically, right? Or I take a loss of half if I sell it to a brick and mortar shop. But if I can go and sell it directly to you off my site, I get that $50. That $50 comes directly to me. I'm cutting out the middleman. For instance, when I do a Kickstarter, I will give like books to brick and mortar shops and they get them at half off. If they order a certain quantity, and they're an actual friendly local game shop, they get half off. That's just the way it works because they have to account for their margins and stuff. That's just life, right? But this seems like, unless I'm totally missing something, this really seems like a way that Wizards of the Coast is now competing with friendly local game shops and trying to get people to order off D&D Beyond first so that friendly local game shops will get less. It just seems like they're trying to screw them over. And I don't know if I'm missing something or if I'm totally off base or not. I don't know. But this doesn't seem good. And the other thing too is that they did this same thing. They did the same thing with Dragonlance, and I was looking at some stuff about that, and it looks like it took a long time for people to get their books when they pre-ordered Dragonlance. Like people were waiting like a month or something, and they hadn't gotten their books yet. It's like Wizards doesn't have a super great their logistics and shipping operation isn't super spectacular, and rightly so, I suppose, because that's not historically what they've done. They're not like a fine-tuned oiled machine like Amazon that can just get you the thing the next day. Like that's not what they do. They're not a fulfillment center. They're a book publisher, and so it makes sense that they're not going to be able to just get orders going as quickly because they don't usually do that. But I heard that Dragonlance had some serious delays involved. So not only were you not supporting friendly local game shops, but you were giving you were waiting a ton of time to get your book. Whereas if you had just gone to the game shop, you could have gotten your book right away and paid the same price, and you would have been supporting a local game shop, who has to pay bills and stuff too. So I was watching. I need a drink. Gerald says maybe it's a test to see if the boycott is over. I'm not done boycotting. I'm done with Wizards. I'm totally done, Gerald. I am never giving them another penny, ever. I've canceled my D&D Beyond. I am not buying any more books from them. I'm not even using D&D Beyond. My players have physical sheets now. I told them to not. You guys, we're not using D&D Beyond. I have online players, and I told them we're rolling dice. I want if we're rolling dice. We're not using D&D Beyond. It's not going to port. We're not using their services anymore. We're using. You guys roll physical dice. I trust you. If you're cheating, I'll know. I know. I can tell. But and I trust them anyway. They're all good. They pay to play with me, and so they're good guys and girls. So I'm done supporting them completely, 100%. I'm just kind of like looking at like things like this where it's like, are they trying to screw over friendly local game shops? I don't know. Tommy Kratz says, get it early and screw out the local game stores. Yeah, exactly. So the video, Tommy Kratz, the video that I was watching was, I think it was from D&D Shorts, where he was talking about this same thing as well, which is how I learned about it, because what happened with the Dragonlance thing is when they started selling, when Wizards of the Coast started selling pre-orders for Dragonlance on their site, like that probably would have made a whole bunch more of an uproar and news, except that they also did the OGL leak stuff happen pretty much at the same time, like a little bit after it. And so nobody really heard about the Dragonlance stuff, but instead the OGL became the huge thing, and rightly so. But now that I've been, clued in on what they're doing, it's like, oh, now they're selling the physical books, at the same time for pre-orders that you would normally be able to, get them from a local game shop or something. And so they're just competing directly with local game shops. So I'm just seeing some of these things that they're doing it is absolutely to increase their revenue, to make more money. Like, that's why you do this. But there are either unintended or intended consequences. However you want to look at it, it directly does compete with friendly local game shops and screws them over. Now, whether it's unintended or intended, I don't know if they had their sights on local game shops to screw them over intentionally, or if it was more, hey, we need to make more money. How can we make more money? If we sell the books directly, then we make a lot more money. Okay, start selling the books more directly. And the consequence of that is that it screws over friendly local game shops. But here's the problem. A lot of people learn about role-playing games and are recommended role-playing games where? At the game shops. They walk into a game shop and they're like, I've heard about D&D and stuff, and I'm just wondering, if like you guys have those books and how do I start playing and stuff. And the game shop owner's like, oh yeah, let me show you. Okay, we got all these D&D books. You get this one, this one, this one, and then we actually have Adventurers League here every other week. You can come and play, and then they hook people up. And so friendly local game shops help bring people into this hobby, and a lot of them have places where you can physically go play as well, and so friendly local game shops do a whole lot of good stuff for us. And now it's kind of like if they're getting screwed over by this, it's like, that's not good. That's not good mojo, and that's not good for the community. But what could happen, and this is kind of what I would love to happen, it's kind of like, I have this sense of like justice in my brain, where if you do something that is not good, like there should be consequences for that. You shouldn't get away with something that hurts other people and just get away scot-free. There should be consequences for that. So in my little brain of justice and thinking, I'm like, well, what if Wizards is clearly starting to do this, and it is going to be hurting local game shops? Well, that's going to cause bad blood with local game shops, right? Local game shops are going to be like, man, our revenue is going down because Wizards is doing this kind of bullcrap, So that bad blood could cause them to start recommending other RPGs. Like, that's what I would do. That's what I'm doing. I would start stocking more of Pathfinder stuff, Pathfinder 2nd edition, stock more of Savage Worlds or Call of Cthulhu or whatever. Insert your game system that you like, Hackmaster or something. Have those on your shelves, and then when that new person comes in the door and it's like, hey, I heard about D&D and stuff and I was interested in playing, how do I do it? The local game shop owner says, D&D is great, but I have a better idea. I have a different recommendation for you. Well, you should check out Savage Worlds. Savage Worlds is really, really cool. And then they can show them the Savage Worlds book, or they could say, hey, well, Pathfinder 2nd edition is great, and we have Pathfinder Society meetings here every other week as well, where you can play Pathfinder. And then they show them the Pathfinder books as well. So this bad blood with local game shops could cause them to start recommending other RPGs. So short term, Wizards of the Coast increases their revenue because they're selling direct. Long term, people are being persuaded more and more to play other systems. And so long term, there could be a decline or an impact, at least, to Wizards of the Coast products because they're creating bad blood and people are recommending and wanting to play other systems. So this is like an unintended consequence that could happen. Or I don't think it's intended. Well, I mean, they might intentionally be trying to screw over local game shops, but I don't know about that. I think their actual intention is just to make more money. And they're just not as concerned about it's business. Business is business, and we're gonna do what we're gonna do. I think is probably what they're going for. So, but there could be some long-term consequences, and I don't know. Most executives have their positions as executives for like 3 years or so, and then they move on somewhere else. That's just the way it works. And so executives don't have to be responsible over the long term for their decisions. They just have to be responsible in the present term. Like right now, while I'm an executive, I want to increase our revenue by 50% because that's what Hasbro told me to do. And so we're going to do these things. Now, if that causes problems down the road in the future, well, that's not my problem. That's the next executive's problem. And so you many times don't find long-term thinking decisions being made. You find short-term thinking because that's what they're incentivized to do, and that's what really matters. Especially when you're a publicly traded company and you're beholden to shareholders and what they need and want and stuff like that. So anyway, I thought this was more not good stuff that I'm seeing here, which makes me even less excited about their trajectory as a company, I guess. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. Maudisant says pretty much they're only looking at things in a vacuum. Yeah, they might be. John Lee has some other Genesis. John Lee recommended Genesis. I know Zach has got the Genesis system and they're starting to play that. So apparently there was something cool and appealing about it. Otherwise Zach probably wouldn't be running it. But I've heard of Genesis too. Uh-oh. I'm out of coffee now.
Hi, Barbarian here. Did you see my last sleazy plug? You know, the one where I talked about Lair magazine and tried to convince you to become a DM Lair patron? Yeah, well, I'm not gonna do all that work over again. So could you just go rewatch that plug and then, you know, become a DM Lair patron at the link below? Please, you know, just don't make me threaten you with my axe. My doctor tells me I gotta, you know, keep my blood pressure under control. Thank you.
Uh-oh. The button. Find the button. Ah! Sylvie says, where can I send you fan mail? I have a PO box that you can send stuff to. If you message one of my moderators on Discord, they can probably get you a PO box, and then you can send me some fan mail. Thank you. All right, let's get some questions now. We're gonna move into questions. Squeaky's chewing on my leg. Oh, there is a bumping, knocking sound coming through the mic. I'm sorry. It's because look. This is the bumping, knocking sound because my mic is right here. I have a boom mic right here, and it's very sensitive. It picks up sound. That's what mics do. And so, whenever I tap the desk, you're gonna get that. And so I was probably doing that a lot, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to keep my hands off the desk. That was probably all the dude who said their Boise microphone or their Boise headphones were broken. That was probably because I was doing something. I'm sorry. I'm a bad person. What would you say is good equipment for a physical and virtual table? For a physical game table? So you mean you don't need a whole lot for a physical table to run at. If you're talking about the equipment you need, I mean, you need like a dry erase mat with grid on it, and then some dry erase markers to draw on it, and then, you know, if you want to use minis or M&Ms or buttons, colored buttons to represent your monsters and characters, you could do that. You need a screen probably, and your books and dice and pen and paper. You don't need a whole lot to play in person. It's pretty simple. Now I do have a riser. Like if you look at that table right there, you can see that on top of that table there is a riser, and that elevates the game mat so that it just creates a little bit more table space. There's room underneath it and stuff, and it gets the game mat up a little bit higher too. It makes it easier to see and reach things and stuff. So I like that. I got that from, I think the company is Spider Mind Games, and it's called Level Up Riser, is I believe the name of it. So I got that. I'm very happy with that. That's something that I've been wanting to get for years. I didn't know it existed. I was theorizing how to build it with plexiglass. And I was like, I should just go buy a bunch of plexiglass and put together a riser or something. And then literally, like, this was about 4 months ago or so. And then I was like, wait a second. I should see if somebody makes these things, because I can't be the only one who thought about this. And then sure enough, I found a company that makes them. So now I have that, and I'm very happy with it. For virtual tables, I mean, you really just need a way like to see each other and talk to each other. So I use Zoom. And then you need a virtual tabletop such as Roll20 or Foundry that you can play the game on. You don't need a whole lot more. It's pretty simple. So yeah, I don't know. You can always go with bells and whistles on things, but I don't like to do tons of bells and whistles. I like to keep things mostly simple because it reduces my prep time when I don't have a whole bunch of crazy stuff that I'm doing. But also it helps me focus on running the fun parts of the game, the cool parts of the game. And I don't know. I just have my way of doing it, but I don't go with all the bells and whistles and crazy stuff. I just don't. It costs money. It takes time to set up, and I have money to buy the crap, but I don't have the time to like set stuff up and do all this. So I'll do the basic stuff, which it results in really fun games. But the fun games, you see, the thing is that you don't need all of that stuff to run a fun game for you and your players. The criteria of a fun game has less to do with all that stuff, that physical stuff or virtual digital stuff that you have, and it has more to do with like how you're running the game, your ability as a game master to run a fun game and set a good environment. You know, your players, how good are your players? Do your players contribute to that fun environment, or are your players not contributing in there and they're taking things down? So I think there's a fun and enjoyable games result way more from the game master and the players together making that game amazing for everybody. You know, it's not so much the junk you have and the stuff you have, because anybody can go out. I played in a game once where this guy had thousands of dollars of Dwarven Forge terrain and miniatures, and that game was not fun. I played a few times and I was like, this is not worth my time, I'm done, and I left. So having all of that stuff is cool and can be amazing, but it doesn't make for a good game. There's the soft skills that you have as a game master, and that the things your players bring to the table contribute way more for an amazing fun game than having stuff. So I wouldn't fixate too much on the stuff. Which the great thing about that whole thing is that, you know, learning skills and getting better as a game master, and then your players learning how to be good players and contribute to that environment, all that's free. Most of that is just free, and it's just something you learn over time. So if you don't have a lot of money, don't gotta worry about it because it doesn't cost anything. So I think that's the good thing about it. But you cannot just throw money at the problem and make it better, right? You can't just throw thousands of dollars at Dwarven Forge terrain and think that it's going to make your games amazing. It won't. You know, it might help your games be better. Your players might love it and stuff. But if you still run crappy games, you still run crappy games. It doesn't matter what terrain or minis you have. A crappy game's a crappy game. It's kind of like you have to have a foundation, right? That's good. And then the Dwarven Forge and the minis and all the other cool stuff you might add go on top of that foundation. But if your foundation is rotten and crumbling, it doesn't matter what you put on it. All of it's going to fall and crumble into the ground, and you're going to be stuck with something that doesn't work. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but wow, where's my... I'm drinking water now. Do you have any tips for how to remember all the details of a complex trap and how to run it without doing anything wrong? So, study the trap beforehand, obviously, and then when you're running the trap, don't be afraid to wing things. You don't always have to follow something very specifically. There are many times that I run modules and I'll prep the module in advance. I'll have a good idea of things that are going to happen in the module. But during the game session, I spend as little time as possible looking things up and trying to find exact details. I'll refer to my module book, but I'm not going to spend tons of time doing so. I'm going to instead, based upon my recollections, make things up and just go with the flow, because that makes for a smoother game that is probably going to be just as enjoyable as if I spend a bunch of time trying to find out the details that I happen to have forgotten. So don't be afraid to make things up and improvise as you go. And the other thing too is that when you're running a complex trap, what defines a complex trap is it gets turns in the initiative order. So your players have turns and your complex trap has turns. So this is what you do. When your players are there's always going to be a point in time when your players are deciding what they're going to do on their turn. And then when they're deciding, it usually takes a minute or something for them to think things through and stuff. You just glance at your complex trap and confirm what it's going to do next. Okay, cool. And then you come back and that takes you 20 seconds. And then you come back to the player, and they're probably ready to go. And so you can take these little moments of where they're thinking to look at your thing too, to get prepped for your turn. So this is what players should be doing too. Players should do the same thing. When another player is taking their turn, or when the dungeon master is taking their turn, a player should be thinking about what they're going to do on their turn. Good players will do that, and then they'll be ready to go on their turn. When you have a player who just has no idea what they're going to do on their turn, like this happens to me all the time. When there's a player who's just completely indecisive and can't figure it out, and they're thinking and taking forever, I always think in my brain, what were you doing when the rest of us were taking our turns? Like as a responsible player, you should have been thinking about your turn. What spell am I going to cast? What am I going to do? Right? And then as things progressed and changed, you keep reevaluating. Okay, well, I'm going to change because you should be thinking about your options so that when it's your turn, you can state your action and the game can move smoothly. But when you're running a complex trap, take advantage of those little pauses to refresh your trap idea, you know? And then when it's your turn, if you have that complex trap there, you could print it off, you could highlight some stuff so that you, or you could take notes on the key things. I'll do that frequently for modules that I run. I usually print off a module so I have it on paper and then I can highlight stuff. But if I don't do that, what I will do is I will have a one-page piece of paper where I'll write down the key important points, the names of NPCs, you know, their motivations, what's going on, anything, the treasure that's in there, anything that I think is important that I want to make sure that I have easily available. So those are some different things you can do to help you when you're running a complex trap. John says, I always think about what to do in my turn, but I also get caught up in the other players' decisions and how they affect what I'm doing. I'm very indecisive. I think, John, the trick is to just pick something. Don't worry about it being perfect. You have to just pick something. And this is something I do as a game master all the time. I try to have my monsters take their actions as quickly as possible. Like it is rare if you're in one of my games for you to wait for me to decide what I'm going to do on my turn. I almost always have my actions ready to go because I just pick something. Even if it's not the most optimal thing, and if I thought about it, I could figure out a better way, I just have my monsters go. They just go. They take their turns. Because I'm concerned with the flow of the game. I'm concerned with getting through that battle, having it go smoothly, not having it bogged down. That is one of my primary goals when I run a combat, is I want it to flow smoothly. I want to keep on going. I don't want to sit there and think too long and discuss and have things bogged down. So as a game master, I pick stuff and I do stuff. And so I think that a player can do the same thing. You don't have to think about the most optimal best thing to do. Just pick something and go. Just pick something and go. It's not, don't, you know, if you think about it, it's the diminishing returns thing. It's the 80-20 principle, right? You can spend 10 minutes thinking about your action, right? And it could be the best thing possible. Or you could spend 30 seconds thinking about what to do, and you're gonna get 80% of the way there. It's almost perfect, but if you were to spend, so 30 seconds gets you 80% of the way there to your perfect action. But then 10 minutes gets you the 100% best action. And then, but is it worth it? Is it worth it to, you know, to bog the game down like that? So I would say just think a little bit, take your best guess of what you think is a good thing to do, and then do it. My other pet peeve this is another pet peeve of mine. It really annoys me when it's a player's turn and it turns into a committee discussion. Like, it's John's turn, and I'm not picking on you, John. I'll pick a different word. It's Sally's turn. It's Sally's turn, and she's thinking about what to do, and she's about to say what to do, and then all the other players start to chime in. Well, you know, if you go over here and do this, well, you know, if you cast that spell and do this, well, you know, if you do this, and then it becomes a committee discussion on every player's turn. Man, I can't stand that. I can't stand that. The committee discussion stuff. It's like, no, don't do that. Come on, you can't have a committee discussion on everybody's turn, because not only does it take time and bog the combat down, but also now that player is being pressured to do different stuff than what she might have wanted to do. Like, Sally might have wanted to just cast Fireball because that's what she wanted to do. But then you have other players saying, well, if you move here first, if you do that, if you cast this spell and that, and then she's like, well, now I got all these people telling me what to do, you know, and it isn't necessarily what I wanted to do. You know, they're basically kind of trying to run my character for me, and I wanted to do this thing, and now if I do the thing that I decided to do, now they're gonna think that I'm ignoring them, and that I'm not taking their advice, and then they might be upset, and then, gosh, if you guys would just stop and just let me do the thing I want to do, I would probably be happier. And then the game would run smoother. So it's one of those little things that just kind of pet peeves me. This happened to me. I'm in a game, another game. It's not, Zach, it's not your game. It's a different game. I just want to be clear, because a lot of people that are in the chat right now are in the game that I play with Zach. This wasn't your game, Zach, but I was in a different game. and it was my turn, and I was gonna do a thing, and then one of the other players was basically like, well, you know, if you do this and this and this, and I listened to him tell me to do this, this, and this, and I sat there for a second, and I was just like, I don't really want to. I was in my brain, I was like, I don't really want to do what you suggested me to do, and I wish you would just not give me suggestions. I really want you to just be quiet and let me run my character. That's what I was thinking in my brain. Like, please don't give me suggestions, just let me run my character. But ultimately, I was just like, you know what? I don't want to, just whatever. Okay, I'll do what you said. And so I did what he suggested, you know, because I just was like over it. But because there's a player that kind of does that all the time. He's basically trying to run other people's player characters. It's what it feels like. So anyway, I was just like, oh my gosh, dude, don't give me suggestions. Just let me run my character. So anyway, that's a pet peeve of mine. Now, what I do, however, is at the beginning of a round, I give all of the players an opportunity to discuss tactics. That's when they can discuss things. I give them about a minute or so to talk about what they want to do. And I've told my players that the reason I do this is so that during the actual round, on people's turns, we do not have committee discussions. Very, very important. No committee discussions during the combat round. You can talk at the beginning, but not during the round. I don't like that. But during the round talking, I hate it. I'm sorry, I hate it. Will you change your channel's name to the GM Lair? Oh, that's a big pain in the butt. Probably not. My cat is going crazy down here. Little guy, what's your problem? What is your problem? Little guy. You want your belly rubbed? Uh-oh, there's another cat. Little guy, you want your belly rubbed? I'm gonna see if I can get him. I'm gonna see if we can rub his belly. Little guy, you want your belly rubbed? Little guy, you want your belly rubbed? You want your belly rubbed? He's gonna go off camera. Little guy. Little guy. Well, he's kind of on camera. You can kind of see him. That's what he does. He just goes around the house and he cries and whines because he wants his belly rubbed. My wife usually rubs his belly for him. Drake says, somebody said, Mr. Colville said earlier versions of D&D were better at getting players to go adventuring because the real way to grow stronger is not through level up, but with magic items found. Your 2 cents. I don't know. I've played different versions of D&D, obviously. I played a lot of 2nd edition. I played a lot of 3.5. But I don't remember specifics enough about those to really comment on that. My memory, I have a very, like... My memory in my brain works in such a way that if I'm doing something in the moment, it works. I remember stuff and it's like, I'm doing it. But once something is no longer being used, something from years and years ago, like I don't remember details about it. Like I just don't remember. Like I just can't remember things about it. And so I just don't remember enough about those editions to say anything about that. I have never had a problem getting my players to go adventuring. Never. I have never been in a group, and I've run lots of groups of D&D over the years. I've never been in a group where players didn't want to go on adventures. Like, I just don't understand that. Like, apparently it's a thing where there are players who don't want to go on adventures, and they just... Look, what are you doing if you're not going on adventures? Are you sitting in a tavern? Just drinking ale? And talking? Like, I don't... the concept it's just... I don't understand it. I don't get it. I've never been in a game like that. I've never run games like that. I've never... I mean, you might have seen games like that. If you look at some of the D&D games on Twitch, they sit around and talk most of the time. But I don't think... It feels like that's because they're trying to do like a Critical Role copy or something. I'm not sure. So I'm sure there are games out there like that, but it blows my mind. It's a different way of playing the game, obviously, that I'm just not familiar with. But I've never had problems with players going on adventures or being motivated to do so. It's just the way we've always played the game, whether it's 2nd edition, 3.5, or 5th edition, or now we're moving to Pathfinder. Like, I've never had an issue with players not wanting to go on adventures. So I don't understand that whole thing, honestly. All right.
Hi, Barbarian here. Are you enjoying this content? Would you like to have me guilt trip you really quick? Because here's the thing. My team and I work really hard to create all this content. The videos, the stupid shorts, the TikTok garbage, these Q&A live streams, the adventure creation live streams, all of the stuff. All of the free Dungeon Master resources on the DMLair.com and Lair magazine, which is just amazing and beautiful. Anyway, here's the problem. My team doesn't work for free, and Mrs. Barbarian always wants me to take her out to eat, like every single day almost. And I mean, I like Olive Garden and Texas Roadhouse, but all of those margaritas get really expensive. And you know, if I don't pay the people on my team, they just kind of stop working. I don't get it. Anyway, here's how you can help me help you. Basically, you can just take a whole bunch of cash, you know, put it into an envelope and mail it. No, wait, hold on. Let me think about that. No, you know what? This is the 21st century. Just give me your credit card number. Okay, forget all of that. My lawyers have advised me to instead request that you become DM Lair patrons at the link below. I mean, it still allows you to send me money, but it's legal and you get cool stuff in return. For instance, every month you'll get a new issue of Lair magazine, which contains tons of Dungeon Master resources like adventures, puzzles, traps, monsters, magic items, and more. You see, I'm not just asking for a handout, which is what a lot of people do with their Patreons. I'm actually going to give you stuff in return. So yeah, just, you know, kind of click that link below and become a DM Lair patron, you know, so I can stop putting my foot in my mouth. Thank you.
Hey! What happened there? That's not the way that's supposed to work. All right. Apparently, I took longer than I was supposed to, and my video ran out. Not gonna get my tea. I'm doing my tea. This is the tea I'm going with. Sweet and spicy original. I think my cats want their snack too. We should probably give my cats their snack, and my dog is gonna want some snack too. So I'm gonna give them some snack, and then we're gonna keep doing the Q&A. Let's give our kitties some snack. Come here, kitties. Uh-oh. Let's see if we can get some cats coming down. There we go. I got 3 of them. Yeah? You guys excited? Oh yeah? Awesome. All right, here we go. The dog. I'm gonna give the dog some stuff too. Come here, doggy. Come here. All right, there we go. We have a very important question here I have to address. Lord God asks, thank you for the $2 super chat. I will answer your question about your coffee because that's a very important question. My coffee is cold. Should I microwave it? You know, as long as your cup doesn't get hot too, because there are some coffee cups that if you microwave them, the coffee cup gets hot, and then when you pick it up, you can burn your hand. So as long as you have a good cup, I think it's fine. Or you could just make fresh coffee too, dude. That's totally legitimate solution as well. Cameron, thank you for the $5 super chat. Hey Luke, my players are attempting to avoid guards as they attempt to sneak out of a city in our next session. Any advice on running this scenario? Well, oh shoot. There are two ways you can do it. You could simply make there be like battle maps where they have to have their minis and stuff and play it out that way, but I think that is a inferior way of doing it. The way that I would do this personally is I would do a skill challenge. This is a perfect opportunity for a skill challenge for me. You simply, you run a skill challenge. I don't know how else to say it. I'm not going to explain how to do a skill challenge exactly because it's not hard to do it, but we literally have a publication that I think what is an issue of Lair magazine that gives all the details about how to run a skill challenge. And also I have a video on my channel that talks about running skill challenges and will explain to you exactly how to run a skill challenge. So what I would do is I would go check out that video about skill challenges. And then if you want the actual rule set, which like lays out everything, it's explained very thoroughly in the video. So you don't have to buy the rule set, but we make these rule sets and we put them in Lair magazine so that people have the written version to reference if they want to. So you can also get that version of Lair magazine that has skill challenges in it as well. And maybe Zach, if you can let them know where they could find that, maybe put a link in the chat or something to that issue of Lair magazine, that would be awesome. And maybe to the video as well would be helpful for them. But this particular case right here is a perfect scenario for a skill challenge. 100% absolutely want to do a skill challenge for trying to have your players sneak out of the city past the guards at night. That's perfect. A week ago at my Ancient Dragon game, which I run for my patrons, we had a perfect situation for a skill challenge as well. My players, there was basically I gotta go full screen for this. So my dog is stealing my cat's snacks now too. There was a situation where there was a palace that basically was full of vampires, and my players were going into that palace, and they got into the palace and they were confronted by a bunch of vampires, and they were just like, oh shoot. And then I forget all the details, but they ended up going and talking to the leader of all the vampires, and they're in the middle of this palace. They're surrounded by vampires, and they're probably crapping their pants. Now they're level 16. They are very high level at this point, but still they're surrounded by there were like 12 plus vampires surrounding them, you know, and the vampires are all chill. They're relaxing. The vampires don't have the motive of just killing and slaughtering, which is a pet peeve of mine. By the way, I'm in another game right now, and every room we go into, the monsters just attack. They just attack immediately. Oh, I wish that game were deeper than just having the monsters attack every single time. But anyway, that's neither here nor now. They went into this palace full of vampires, and the vampires, almost always in my games, very rarely in my games do monsters just attack. There's usually an opportunity to converse with them or try to use some different method of overcoming the challenge of the encounter. Now, a lot of times battle does happen, but I want to give my players the option of trying something else first to encourage different types of roleplay than just combat. Combat is roleplay, by the way. It's a different type of roleplay. But anyway, they went into this palace full of vampires, and they started talking to the lead vampire. I think her name was Lady, or her first name was Brienne, but she was going by Lady something else. But anyway, Brienne started talking with them, and they basically, what they were trying to do is, Brienne was a servant of a very powerful Lord of Evil. Let's just say it's a champion of Zitterth, who is they're a champion. They call them the Nine. The Lord of Evil was like one of the Nine. It's a whole dark. The Dark Shards is a domain of dread that I've created that my Ancient Dragons are running through right now. But anyway, Brienne serves this Dark Lord, and the players basically didn't want to have to fight Brienne and all of her vampires, and so they were trying to convince Brienne to step aside and let them go fight the Dark Lord, because if they fight, Brienne as a vampire is a servant of the Dark Lord, and she has to do what the Dark Lord says. And so my players were saying, look, if you let us go fight the Dark Lord, we will kill the Dark Lord. We've already killed 2 other Dark Lords, so we know what we're doing. We will kill that Dark Lord. You, Brienne, will be set free, and you will no longer be a slave to that Dark Lord. And then you can do whatever you want. And Brienne was like, okay, that sounds good. You realize, of course, that I am evil and I'll do evil things. She didn't say it like that, obviously. I was role-playing it, you know. But I let my characters know that Brienne wasn't just going to become a good person. She was still going to be an evil person. She's a vampire, right? And so, but my players probably didn't want to fight all the vampires. And so they were like, well, you know what? If we, this is probably what they were thinking. If we can convince this vampire to stand down right now, we can go kill the Dark Lord, and then we can figure out what to do with the vampire later, right? And so that's what they wanted to do. And they were trying to convince the vampire to stand down. And I said, okay, in my brain, I'm like, this is perfect for a skill challenge. This is exactly the situation where you have a skill challenge. You don't just have them make 1 diplomacy check, 1 persuasion check. That's not the way to do that. The way to do this is a skill challenge, because it's a complex, difficult thing to convince a powerful vampire lord surrounded by all of her minions and thralls to stand down and let you go fight her. You know, her lord. And so this is a very complex thing that it should be challenging for them to do. And so I ran a skill challenge, and my players just barely beat that skill challenge. They had, when you run a skill challenge, you usually set a number of successes that are required to pass the skill challenge. And then 3 failures is always a failure of the skill challenge. And my players, I think I made this one 9, I might've made this one 7 successes or something. And my players had, they had 2 failures going for them very soon into the skill challenge, but they managed to just barely, and when I run it, they just barely managed to succeed. And when I run skill challenges for my players too, I will tell them the metagame mechanics. I will say, listen, this skill challenge is pretty difficult. So it's going to require 7 successes before you reach 3 failures, and the difficulty class is 15. I will tell them this information up front so they know exactly what they got to get. Like, we have to get 9 successes, and every check we do has to be a DC 15 or higher. And then it was amazing too, because there was like really dramatic, heavy moments as they're like get a failure and they're like, oh my gosh, no way. And then they get successes and they're getting all excited. And so there was this dramatic, cool game period that you could play out using that skill challenge. So that was another example of the perfect time for a skill challenge. I work these into my games quite frequently because I think they work very, very, very well. So anyway, yes, long and short answer to your question, my friend, is use a skill challenge. Now, somebody was asking, Madasan says, what abilities did they use as part of diplomacy? Now, when I run a skill challenge, the way you do this is you allow your players to use their abilities, their skills, however they want, as long as they can justify it. So in this case, they wanted to convince Brienne to step aside and let them go kill her lord without her interfering. Now, you would think this is just pure diplomacy. This is purely persuasion, perhaps deception, but no, a skill challenge doesn't work that way. You can use any of your skills as long as you can justify it. So I had one character, I think it was the barbarian, who said, look it, I want to help show her that we are capable warriors and that we can absolutely defeat her lord, and that she shouldn't have to worry about repercussions to her because we're going to take care of the lord. And so he justified his use of athletics to help convince her. I think he did some like, I don't know, some like showing off his strength and athleticism to convince her that they could beat her lord. I had another player who, along a similar line, was like he wanted to use acrobatics to show off his expertise and how good he was, to help convince her that they were capable of taking out her lord. Other players did use persuasion. I don't think she did this, but there was a sorcerer. She could have used Arcana check to basically show off some of her magic power or something, to just try to convince the vampire lord to step aside as well. So you can use any sort of skill that you can justify during a skill challenge, even for something like this, where you would say, well, you know, it's pure persuasion. Well, no, not necessarily. If you can justify something else that makes sense, then go for it. You know, and I give my players a little bit of leeway too. I'm not super strict about it. You know, As long as they can make a reasonable justification, then that's enough for me. You know, because if I'm super strict about it and say, no, this is only convincing someone, you can only use deception or persuasion, and those are the only things that you can do, well, then you're gonna have one player who's good at those and the rest of them suck, and they're just gonna fail the skill challenge. Like, you're just chopping their legs off before they start running. And so I do give them a little bit of leeway in how I do those things, to give them a fair shot at it. And it results, usually it results in really fun, amazing things. Now, that said, my players also fail a lot of their skill challenges and get them in trouble too. So that's a thing. This one, they happen to just barely succeed though. Oh, I got some super chats. I'm gonna hit you guys. Thank you. Oh, baby. I'm hungry. I'm really hungry right now. Anthony Peterson, thank you for the $2 super chat. Do your cats eat organic cat food? I don't think it's organic, but it is premium cat food. I pay about $45 for one bag of cat food. I think it's a 12 or 15 pound bag of cat food. I forget how big it is. It's not small, but it's not gigantic either. But yeah, I pay $45 for some premium cat food that is good for them, and it isn't just like garbage. So I don't buy cheap crap for my cats. But I don't think it's organic. The best table snack? I love popcorn, Gabrielle, but I also like pizza too. But so this is how I do popcorn, you guys. Not the microwave crap. Not the disgusting microwave popcorn. No. Don't just throw that crap out. This is how you want to make your popcorn. You do it on your stovetop with a pan. You get a pot. Ideally, you have a very tall pot, about that big or so. It's like a 12-inch bottom or maybe 15-inch bottom, and it's a very deep pot that you would use for like stew and stuff. And you put a layer of kernels along the bottom of that pot, just like one kernel deep is perfectly fine. And then you put enough like canola oil or olive oil in it, or peanut oil. You could do peanut oil too. Just probably not use cheap, crappy oil. But anyway, you get enough oil then you put enough oil in there. You don't want the kernels to be swimming in oil. You want there to be just enough oil in there that the kernels can, like, it's still viscous, but they can move around. And you move them around and the kernels are moving, but it's still viscous enough that you don't have a soup going on. So you get that there, then you put the lid on, and then you just put your burner on not quite the highest heat, but pretty close to it. And then when it starts popping and you get some popping going on, you got oven mitts on and you give it a shake, put it back down, wait a few seconds, get some popping on, give it a shake, put it back down. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to shake when the popcorn pops, kernels will go to the top. When you're shaking it, you're shaking those kernels back down to the bottom where the heat is. Let it pop, and you just keep doing that until the popping dies down to like a couple seconds between pops. Take that bad boy off, and you got the most amazing home popped, stove popped popcorn you're ever gonna have in the world. That stuff is delicious. Put a little salt on it and you're good to go. It is 1,000 times better than any garbage microwave popcorn you will ever have in your life. So that is a very nice table snack. I've never tried olive oil popcorn. I've always used canola oil for my popcorn. But there's probably other types of oil that would be fine. I just don't know. I've only ever done one. Dordub, thank you for the 3 something super chat. Hi Luke, of your cats were a D&D group, would you run the game and what classes would the other cat play and why? Okay, so if I were gonna run a D&D group for my cats, what classes would they be? Squirty Pie would probably be a bard because she has a big mouth and is very social. Squeaky would probably be like a fighter. He's a big boy, so he would be a paladin. Squeaky would be a paladin because he's like the leader of the cats. He's the boss of the cats, so he has some leadership in him. Orange would be a barbarian because he's a big dumb loaf. And that was who? Mommy Mommy 1 would probably be a wizard, I would think. Probably be a wizard. And then little girl would probably be a thief. She would be like a rogue, almost assuredly. Little guy would probably be, he's a little pain in the butt. He's got a loud mouth too. I don't know, maybe throw him as a, I don't know, probably another rogue or something. And mommy 2, she's got some charisma in her as well. Maybe like a sorcerer. Let's go with the sorcerer for her. So those would be the classes for my cats. Anthony Peterson, $2. Thank you for the super chat. He says, for your dog snacks. Thank you, dude. Appreciate that. Where can I find advice on how to be a good player? Well, you're not gonna find it on the channels. So there are some places out there that basically give you like the listing of the best feats and the best cantrips and the best spells, and they basically are helping you min-max your character. Those aren't gonna help you be a good player. Those are gonna help you have a powerful character, and perhaps make things more difficult for your dungeon master to run the game. So that sort of content, although it's targeting players and lots of players watch it, it doesn't actually help you be a better player. I think the defining characteristic, what makes a good player, in my opinion, is someone who goes to the game with the intention of, and having their goal as, I want to make this game better for everyone. I want my presence at this game to make the overall fun increase for everyone. I want to make it more fun for my game master. I want to make it more fun for my fellow players. Like, they don't just show up to play a game. They show up with the mentality of, I am a part of this group and I am a piece of making it fun for everyone. And when I make it more fun for everyone, it makes it more fun for me. So I want to make sure that I'm not talking too much and stealing all the limelight. I want to make sure that I'm not giving my dungeon master problems. I want to make sure that I'm not arguing excessively with him. I want to make sure that I'm, appreciating what my game master does and things like that. I want to make sure that I'm being considerate to my other players and making sure, that I'm being helpful and friendly to them and not being a jerk to them and stuff. So there's a lot of considerations that go in that, but the basic umbrella is to seek to elevate the game experience for everybody at the game table. And there are lots of different things you can do to do that. Is there a place out there where you can get those tips and stuff? No way. I would have to do a Google search, honestly. I'm sure there are. I don't think they're quite as prevalent because, and I think the reason that there might be YouTube channels that talk about how to be a good player, like actually talk about how to be a good player. I think the great, was it the Great GM or something? I think he has one. I think he has an entire channel for that, but I could be totally wrong. But most of your big mainstream YouTube channels don't talk about how to be good players that I've seen. I might not know all of them, but I haven't seen a lot that talk about how to be good players. And I think that one of the reasons that you don't see a whole lot of things out there for how to be a good player, honestly, is that those videos wouldn't perform very well. They just wouldn't perform. You wouldn't get a lot of views on those videos. And if you had, listen, when you're making videos on YouTube, you have to make a choice. Am I gonna chase the views? Am I going to do the things that lots of people are going to watch, that are gonna get me the clicks, that are gonna get me the watch time, that are gonna allow me to do that? Or am I gonna make the things that I feel are contributing to the overall good of helping players grow and be better players, or helping game masters learn things and be better game masters? You have to make a decision when you're a content creator, what kind of content you're gonna make and why you're making it and what you're chasing and what your goals are. Are you just trying to get views, or are you trying to help people become better players or become better game masters or something? And I think that honestly, you don't see a ton of the how to be a good player. You do see more of people talking about how to be good game masters. You see more of that. But you still, disproportionately, there aren't that many of them compared to, just videos and stuff about the top 10 feats, or, here's this broken combo, check out this broken combo thing, or other things that they'll make videos about, because the fact of the matter is that when you make videos that are just about how to be a good player and then deep diving into different things about being a good player, you're not going to have a lot of people watching those videos. And so your channel is just going to kind of not do a whole lot, right? Because there's not a lot of demand for those videos. There's not a lot of people that are going to watch them. And I feel like that I experienced this to a certain degree myself, because on my channel here, like if you look at the number of views that I get, they're not high compared to other channels. Like if you look at like any other, I don't want to mention names, but there are lots of other people doing D&D and RPG channels that get way more views and stuff, and part of it is because of the topics that they're doing it on. Now you could say that they have better thumbnails, and they do. I'm not super great at my thumbnails. You could say that they have better thumbnails and stuff, but they also have better topics. They're also talking about things that are going to get people to watch them, and they're doing very well on it. But my videos, you know, they don't get a whole lot of views compared to others, and I know that's because I am making videos to help game masters learn how to be game masters, and sometimes they're technical and they're very specific, and they're just not going to appeal to as many people as some of these other videos that just talk about a broken combo. Look how crazy this is, and everybody watches it, you know, because that's the type of thing that people watch. You know, there are fewer people interested in actually learning real things and growing and becoming better at either being a player or being a game master. So I feel like those videos don't always perform super well. I personally have just decided that my goal as a content creator is to help people, especially game masters, help them with their games, help them to learn these things, and give them resources as well that's going to help them run their games. And I have just acknowledged and accepted that I'm probably not going to get as many views on stuff as other people because of the nature of the content I create, you know. And I just don't, when I do videos where I'm intentionally trying to get lots of views, I've always felt a little scummy about it. And so, because I know it's like I want to make sure that most of my content, as much as I can, is designed to help people, you know. So I got on a tangent right there. So I know there are some videos probably out there or sites you could go to about how to be a good player. I mentioned some of the main things just a little bit ago. But do a Google search and you'll find some stuff probably. I don't know. Sorry, I can't answer that very well. That's true. Somebody, Mr. Gore says RPG horror stories. While they don't show you how to be a good player, you will definitely see what not to do. That's a really good point. A lot of time, you can learn how to be better at something by watching people who suck. That is a true thing. I personally was in a game, this was years ago, I was in a game that was horrible, and the game master was just not a very nice human being and running a pretty crappy game. I intentionally stayed in that game for as long as I could stand it because I wanted to see all of the things. I wanted to feel as a player the feelings, the bad feelings, so that I would understand when a game master does this, this, and this is how it makes a player feel, because I experienced those feelings. I told my wife this. I would go to this game, like, I don't know how often we did it, but I would tell my wife, I'm going to this game. I don't even like this game. I hate this game. And she's like, why are you going then? And I told her, because I want to learn. I want to see all the horrible things that's going on here so that I know not to do them. And so I literally exposed myself to that for quite some time until finally it all ended. But that is a thing. You can definitely do that. If you read about stuff people have done that has been bad, you can learn from that for sure, 100%.
Once upon a time, there was a dungeon master named Timmy. He was too busy to properly prepare for his games, and his players all thought he sucked. But then Timmy's mommy got him Lair magazine for Christmas, reducing his prep time and improving the quality of his games. And then Timmy's players all loved him and thought he was the best dungeon master ever. Be like Timmy and become a DM Lair patron at the link below. Yeah!
Okay, here's a very important question from T2 the Money. They say this is really important. Dark roast or light roast? I love dark roast. I love bitter coffee. I don't put any cream, sugar, milk, nothing in my coffee. My coffee is black. And dark roast is beautiful. Like, my favorite roasts are Colombian roast and French roast. Is it French roast? I think it's French roast. Yeah, because they're black, they're dark roasts. And I think the French roast is the darkest. So yeah, absolute dark roast, bitter, 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 bitter. Like that's what I want. I want that bitter punch in my coffee. I love that crap. Whoops, I got a dog right underneath my feet. I have a dog here and then a cat right here. I gotta make sure I don't kick anybody. Oh, holy crap. There's another news item. I'm gonna take a look at this. Oh, geez. Apparently, I'm gonna take a look at this news item. I think this is interesting. I gotta copy paste. I gotta copy this link. That's challenging to do. I have some more super chats. I'm gonna get your super chats in a second. I do see them. All right, this is another article. I've not read this, so we're gonna experience this together. This may or may not work. Go away. I don't want to click. No. Go away. Stupid pop-ups. I hate pop-ups on sites. I swear. Like I go onto these websites and they give me pop-ups for newsletters. They're like, join my newsletter. And I'll be looking at their site and a pop-up comes up to join their newsletter. And I'm like, no, let me look at your site. Quit bothering me with your pop-ups. I hate pop-ups on websites. I swear. Oh my goodness. All right. Anyway, sorry, a tangent. We once got a recommendation from somebody who was recommending some. So I have a very simple website too, by the way. This is the website that we have. This is where you can get like free resources and stuff. But there are no pop-ups on here. I once had somebody who was telling me that you should have a pop-up on your website to like incentivize people to do stuff. And I was like, no, I am not putting a pop-up on my website. I hate those things. So anyway, this is the article. I got on a tangent. Hasbro still harming D&D and MTG brands for quick gains, says Bank of America. Bank of America has reiterated its claim that Hasbro is hurting the long-term value of its Magic the Gathering and D&D brands by attempting to over-monetize them. That's interesting. All right, let's go take a look at what this says. Bank of America has reiterated Hasbro's underperform rating and suggests its stock could drop by 29%, arguing that it continues to destroy customer goodwill by trying to over-monetize its brands. Yes, that's exactly what's happening. Look at the goodwill that just got destroyed by the OGL. Look at the goodwill that is probably going to get destroyed as they start selling pre-orders and cut out local game shops and like destroy goodwill with local game shops. Like, yes, they're destroying customer goodwill by trying to make money. And that's a long-term problem, right? Last time Bank of America criticized Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, in November, it focused primarily on Magic the Gathering. But in an updated statement, it's now pointed to the recent D&D OGL incident, Wizards' attempt to introduce a license that would require all creators to report earnings and pay some royalties as evidence of over-monetization. Yes. We remain especially cautious on I have a comment on that too that I want to mention once we get through this. Somebody remind me to talk about this, the monetization and the royalties, because I have a thought. We remain especially cautious on Hasbro's Wizards segment, given its over-monetization of Magic, Bank of America told Business Insider on Tuesday. Wizards recently tried a similar tactic with D&D, proposing changes to its licensing agreement that led to substantial pushback from the community, including calls to boycott the D&D movie. Yeah, everything was getting boycotted. Everything. It's interesting that Bank of America singles out Hasbro's Wizards segment as an area for particular caution, since it's the only segment of the company that made gains during a poor Q4 2022, and Magic the Gathering brand made more than $1 billion last year for the first time. Okay, yeah. Many of Bank of America's criticisms seem to relate to Magic's secondary market. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Magic the Gathering, but I've been hearing some stuff about their secondary market and some sleazy crap that they do with Magic the Gathering. Apparently, there was one thing that I was watching. There's this one channel that talks about Magic the Gathering. It's like, it's some university. It's like totalitarian. It's not totalitarian, but it's something university. Anybody who plays Magic the Gathering probably knows exactly which YouTube channel I'm talking about and can throw it in chat. But the guy's pretty cool. He wears like a little bow tie and like a kind of a suit type of thing. He's pretty cool. I like him. I like his yeah. Tolarian Community College. Thank you. I like that dude. His presentation style is really, really cool. So I've been watching some of his videos. Even though I don't play Magic the Gathering, I have played it a few times. I don't currently play it. I really like that guy, and I have watched some of his channels or his videos. Anyway, that's a cool guy. Where was I? Oh yeah, he was talking about their secondary market, and one of the sleazy things that they did in the secondary market is they repackaged cards that were priced at like $20. But they would be sold in like Walmart and stuff. It would be like a $20 pack of cards, and inside you would get like maybe $10 of actual card value. But the whole idea with that, what they were trying to do, Magic the Gathering players don't buy cards at Walmart, okay? This is my understanding. Who buys cards at Walmart? The mom or the dad or the uncle who's like, oh, that's right, Sally plays Magic the Gathering. Here's a Magic the Gathering card pack. I'm at Walmart. I'm gonna buy it for her and give it to her. The grandparent doesn't know any better. They don't realize that it's a ripoff, so they pay $20 on crappy cards. Sally gets it and she's like, well, thank you. You know, she's not gonna say anything because grandma gave it to me and I love grandma. But she knows that the grandma got ripped off and these cards are garbage. And so basically the secondary card market in this particular instance is taking advantage of family that don't know any better to buy this garbage. And then the actual players don't go to Walmart. They buy their cards at probably buy their cards at friendly local game shops, I imagine. That's where I've always seen big purchases happening with Magic the Gathering. So anyway, the secondary market is just a bunch of sleaze, at least what I've heard. You know, there might be other parts that aren't bad, but I've heard this repackaging stuff and really crappy crap going on. So yeah, there's some bull crap going on. Yes, Madasan says it's the contrary of preying on the children. You're literally not. You're not preying on the children because in this case, the children know better. And the parents are the ones who are just like, well, Magic the Gathering, you know, Sally plays Magic the Gathering. Let's go buy her these cards. And then Sally is just kind of rolling her eyes like, Grandma, you got ripped off, Grandma. But I love you, Grandma. Thank you. Also, the packs that include the pre-released rare cards are more expensive than normal packs. Yeah, there's probably all levels of sleaze going on there. Anyway, let's get back to the article. Equity research analyst Jason Haas thinks falling card prices caused by excessive reprinting, trying to make some money, means Magic is losing its scarcity value. Collections are being liquidated and Magic collectors are losing money. As a result, we expect they'll order less product in future releases, he said in his November report. Responding to these claims in December, Wizards president Cynthia Williams argued, there is no evidence that Magic is overprinted, and the segment of Magic needs to cut print runs to support prices is a misunderstanding of our business and its customers. How long has she been in that business? This is my problem. This is my problem. You have a CEO who has been in her position for what, half a year? Right? And she thinks that she understands the customers. They tried to pull this OGL thing and your customers burned down your business in a couple weeks. And you think you understand the customer. You cannot, she has no authority or ground to make any statement that purports that she understands the customers at all. At all. She doesn't play the game. She's been there not that long. She doesn't know jack diddly squat about the customers. Now about the business, maybe she's a little better at that. I don't know, but she made some really bad business decisions too that kind of screwed the whole company over. So anytime I just don't feel like you can trust that she knows what she's talking about. So, and besides which, she has to say this. Do you think she's actually going to say, yeah, you're right, we're over monetizing, we're reprinting, and it's going to hurt us, but we're going to do it anyway because we need the money, baby? She's not going to say that. Of course she's going to support their decisions and confirm that what they're doing is the right thing. Her career is on the line. She's expected to do that. Anyway, that's the article. Yeah, they're just trying to go crazy and over monetizing. There was literally Hasbro 50% profit. Let's see. There was, I think it was this one. Was it this one? Come on, baby. There was another article out here that talked about this happened last year in October. Hasbro unveils blueprint to increase profits by 50% in 3 years. And this is why we're having some of these things happening on the Magic side of things, on the D&D side of things. They basically they want to increase profits by 50% is what they have to do. And then you can read more on these articles. This wasn't the one I looked at. I think I probably read, I don't know where I read it, but this happened in October basically. And there's investment sites that talk about this, you know, about wanting to increase profit by 50% that's a lot over 3 years. That's a lot. And this is not, so this happened in October last year. This is not like new news, you know, but based upon Hasbro's mandate to increase profit by 50%, you're getting Wizards of the Coast to do really slimy, sleazy stuff. And we've been seeing this play out in various ways. So these executives are literally acting on and implementing the directives they're getting from Hasbro. The dude at the top, what is his name? Chris Cox, I think, or something like that. So it's not going. John Lee says, and that's going so well. It's not going well for them. Shadowcast says no one understands the gamers. I mean, there's probably some truth to that. We're kind of weird people. She's from Digital Mobile Games. Yeah, that's where she comes from. Yeah. I wish Magic the Gathering fans would band together like D&D fans do. Well, you know, if they do something sleazy enough, they might. I don't know a whole lot about Magic the Gathering fans. I don't play the game. I just kind of watch some videos here and there. Yeah, the 30th anniversary Magic the Gathering set was a fiasco. All right, let's talk about, okay, I got super chats. I gotta hit some super chats. I'm hungry. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go bio real quick. You watch The Barbarian. The Barbarian has something very important for you.
Hello, Barbarian here. I'm interrupting your regularly scheduled program with a very important announcement. Now, some of you have been watching the DM Lair for years now, and others of you are new here. And if you're new, that's okay. And if you're really old and you have like gray hair or no hair at all, I mean, that's okay too. We do not participate in ageism around here. In fact, this is an ism-free zone. There are like absolutely no isms around here. In fact, if your name ends in ism, you should leave now. Wait, you know what? Just to play it safe, if you have any of the following letters in your name, you should leave. I, S, or M. Yeah. Anyway, the important announcement. Well, I'm really just going to ask you for money, but I'm going to dress it all up in fancy marketing clothes so that you'll never even realize that I'm manipulating your fragile emotions to make a quick buck. Trust me, this will be the world's best sleazy plug. Won't you please consider becoming a DM Lair patron at the link below? You see, my team and I work really hard to publish Lair magazine every month for our beautiful patrons. And when we don't have enough patrons, well, revenue dips. And when revenue dips, we have to do cutbacks. And well, that's really sad. You see, people always blame companies when they have to do cutbacks, but really it's your fault as the consumer for not buying all their crap. Or it's because they're trying to maximize shareholder value for stockholders. Or, you know, the C-suite could just have their heads up their butts because, you know, that happens a lot. Anyway, I'm not just asking you to throw your money into a hole. When you become a DM Lair patron, you're going to get cool stuff every month. 5th edition adventures, monsters, traps, puzzles, magic items, digital maps, and more. So, if you don't want me to have to fire Penguin Butt and Goliath Cleric, become a DM Lair patron today at the link below. Oh no, I just realized that I have an I in my name. Barbarian has an I in it. I guess I'm gonna have to fire myself. Bye now.
All right, there was a question where somebody asked, do you do your barbarian face paint by dipping your hand in blue paint and face palming? Yes, I literally do. I literally paint my left hand with paint. I face palm, make sure I press it in, and then I wash the hand off, obviously, and then I paint in the outline and flesh it out a little bit. So yeah, I literally face palm to get the basic idea of the shape, and then I just paint it in. It's literally what I do. It's like the easiest way to do it. Okay, we got to do some super chats here. $5 super chat. They want my opinion on some homebrew items that they posted on my Discord. Okay, I'll take a look at that. We're probably gonna have to do. I don't mind taking a look at homebrew items. Come on, baby. Where was this thing? It's in the. review my DM creation on Discord. Okay, let me go to Discord. I think I'm gonna start getting tons of comments or requests to review things, so I think we're gonna probably have to do like a minimum $5 super chat for me to review something, because it's a complex thing to be able to do. Just for awareness. And I'm running out of time today, so I won't be able to do any more today. But yes, I will happily do that. I gotta find this. Squeaky, you're bothering me, buddy. Trying to focus. Okay, I think I found it. I need a better mechanism to be able to find this stuff too, because it's sometimes hard to find this stuff. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, stand by. See, it's too shaky to do this. Okay, there we go. Okay, I have found it. We're gonna go through this very quickly. I'll give you my quick thoughts on it. I'm not gonna be able to do a deep dive. We don't really have enough time, and there's a lot of reading here. Ethereal knife, wondrous item, very rare, requires attunement. This small dull silver knife has a constant stream of gray smoke tendrils flowing off from it. It has 8 charges, it recovers, okay. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 charge to travel from the material plane to the ethereal plane. And I don't think I'm gonna be able to review this for balance, because that takes a lot of considerations. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 charge to travel from the material plane to the ethereal plane for 1 minute. If the duration runs out, you return the material plane in the nearest, yep, okay, got it. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 charge, so it's bonus actions, a lot of bonus actions. That's really powerful. To be able to do that stuff as a bonus action feels really strong. You can also spend a charge as a bonus action to travel from the ethereal to the material plane. Okay, cool. As an action, you can spend 3 charges to swipe the knife in the air to create a stable portal to the ethereal plane. The portal lasts for 1 minute or until you dismiss it. It allows you and or other creatures to pass through. When used in this way, you can stay in the ethereal plane for as long as needed, but must use another 3 charges to create a portal back to the material plane or find another way. While in the ethereal plane, you can see and hear the plane you originated from. Yep, shades of gray. That's pretty standard. Yep. I think it sounds cool. The 2 things that are bonus actions, I would not have them be bonus actions. I think they should be full actions. Being able to do that as a bonus action seems very, very powerful. I would charge more from the action economy standpoint and make those both full actions. It's still the charges seem fine. Now, as far as that being very rare, I think that seems about fair. That's my gut response to it. It's got charges, there are only so many of them. I think I would definitely change those bonus actions to full actions, and I think you're fine. And that seems pretty fair to me. It's kind of powerful, but it's very rare. It's very useful type of thing, so I'm okay with that. Goliath thinks it's a legendary magic item. Okay. I trust Goliath Cleric more than I do. Goliath Cleric is he reviews a lot of our game mechanics. Ed is our lead developer. Goliath Cleric is right up there with him and reviewing stuff as well. Both of those guys take a lot of time reviewing our content for game balance and stuff, and so either Ed or Goliath Cleric are both better at that sort of thing than I am, so I totally trust Goliath Cleric when he says it's legendary, and I would go with him on that being legendary. So yeah, I would toss those 2 things from bonus actions to actions and then make it a legendary, and then I think I think it's squared away. But it's pretty cool. All right, we'll get rid of that. I don't need to save that. And go back over here. Oh, that's the wrong button. I gotta find the right button here. Squeaky's starting to bite me. Gotta calm down, Squeaky. How would you handle it? Thank you for the super chat, Norwax. I appreciate it. How would you handle it if a campaign's central plotline requires you to limit the PC's agency temporarily in order to set it up at the very beginning? Warn the players beforehand. Yeah. There's always going to be some sort of thing like that when you're running a campaign, you know, and there's always going to be some things that you are going to restrict their agency on a little bit. There has to be. It's always a thing. Like, I'm running a campaign right now set in Eberron, and I'm setting the campaign up, and I told my players, listen, I gave them the pitch of what I thought the campaign, what I'd like to run, and they're all like, yes, this sounds good, but there are some restrictions on their agency. They are all agents of House Kundarak. That's who they are. That's their group is an agent of House Kundarak, right? And then obviously I told them that this is what's going on and what you're going to have to be doing more or less overall. And they're like, yeah, that sounds fun. That sounds like a fun idea for a campaign. Cool, right? And then I told them, here's the caveat though. None of you can be dwarves. House Kundarak does not want any dwarves as their agents for this particular mission. And then there were reasons. And so yes, there were some certain restrictions I placed upon their agency, but here's the thing. I didn't force them to do it. I gave them a campaign pitch. I literally wrote them an email laying out my premise for the campaign that I thought would be fun to run, and explained everything, and then asked them, hey guys, what do you think? I didn't force them into it. I presented it to them for their approval and consideration. And then I got responses that were like, yay, this sounds fun. And so then we're doing it. And I think that's the trick. The trick is not worrying too much about restricting their agency in this particular context, but it's more about getting their permission to do so by doing a campaign pitch. And as long as you do that, you're going to be fine. Thank you, GamerOn, for the $5 super chat. Luke, you are my #1 channel I go to for DM help. That's awesome. Thank you, dude. And I direct as many people as I can your way. You're awesome. Keep it up. Thanks, dude. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. All right. We only got a few minutes left here. Let's get some, then we're going to do the giveaway. We have a giveaway going on, folks. If you want to get in on the giveaway, please click the link in the description down there to get the giveaway. And we're going to we'll draw the winner of the giveaway in just a little bit here, because we're going to wrap things up. I have a very important meeting to go to after this. By the way, we are also working on raising money for One More Child. They're the charity that we're trying to support. One More Child does lots of amazing things for children and for single parent households. They also do lots of amazing stuff for human trafficking as well. So there's a link in the chat where you can donate to One More Child if you want to. Our goal as a channel is to get to $500. I have a little bar right here. We're at 60 right now. We're trying to get to $500. And once we get to $500, we're going to give a big donation to them. So they support adoptions. They support foster care. They, like I said, they help child trafficking stuff and fight against that. And they help victims of child trafficking and I think human trafficking in general. And then they support single parent families like moms and stuff. So they do a lot of amazing, awesome work. So if you'd like to support that, you can tip. All tips will go toward One More Child. And there's a link in the chat, like I said. Why is this orc license such a big deal when there are already other licenses out there that people can use to publish content? Well, I'm not going to go into super detail on this, but I talked about this already at the very beginning kind of the stream when I was talking about the OGL version 1.0a. There's a lot of good things the OGL version 1.8 does that we don't get really out of Creative Commons and some of these other licenses. And so there's a reason that OGL version 1.1 has been used for so long and people use it. It's a good license. There's a lot of good stuff in it and a lot of good things it allows you to do. And I don't know that you can necessarily get that out of other licenses that are currently available. And so the orc is attempting to basically fill that void, assuming that the OGL version 1.0a is eventually going to get destroyed or something, or just assuming that people don't trust it anymore and they want to use something that they can actually trust. And so the orc is going to fill that void and give people a license that they can trust that is not owned by a company who can't 23 years later try to revoke it. And so that is the purpose of the orc and what it's trying to do and why it's a good thing. I'm putting all my Dragonlance tokens to Roll20. Any tips to do it faster? Nope, it's a horrible process importing tokens, dude. Good luck. I don't know anything about that. So how has your squirrel been since you released it back into the wild? We do see the squirrel sometimes. Like I think I saw George a couple days ago. I was outside taking my dog out and I saw a squirrel walking around. I'm pretty sure it was George. So I think George is doing well. Yeah, that's the best I got for you. And my wife sees him frequently too. She'll tell me, because here's the thing, because George was raised in captivity basically, he didn't learn the social skills with other squirrels that he should have learned. And so he's afraid of any other squirrel out there. A squirrel that's smaller than him, he's terrified and just runs away. And so he doesn't have these social skills. And so frequently my wife will see outside a smaller squirrel chasing after George, who is getting bigger. And she'll be like, yep, that's George, because he's afraid of the small squirrel. So yeah, she sees George from time to time as well. So I think he's doing well. He's out there being a squirrel. Hopefully someday he'll learn to stand up for himself, though. What range of levels do you have more fun playing at as a dungeon master and as a player? Well, here's the thing. I always get excited for high level play, and then when I get to high level play, I'm reminded of how crappy it is in D&D 5e. They did not design the game for high level play. It sucks at high levels. And so things are boggy, take forever, and things are broken, and spells, and I don't know, man. Dungeons & Dragons was not designed well for high level play. They really dropped the ball on that. So if you're playing D&D 5th edition, you really can't play at high levels because things just kind of suck. We're having fun, our high level game right now, but it leaves stuff to be desired, in my opinion. I don't avoid the high levels because I feel like most people don't get to play at the high levels because most groups don't last that long and things fall apart. And so I don't avoid the high levels because I want my players to be able to experience that and get the cool spells and the cool abilities and things. So I don't avoid them, but I know that there are issues with them. And I do my best to run the game to get around those issues and make things better, but it's not an ideal world. I have heard that Pathfinder 2nd Edition is way more balanced and does a much better job at high levels, and that high level play is actually viable and fun and works well, which is amazing. I'm super excited because I'm transitioning to Pathfinder 2nd Edition for my in-person group, and so that is very encouraging to me. So, but if you want to ask which levels are more fun, probably between level 3 and level 8 or 10 is your sweet spot. And the reason it's more fun is because the game is better designed at those levels, right? If the game were better designed at high levels could be tons of fun too, but the D&D 5th edition designers just, I don't know, they didn't care about high levels, or they just didn't design it well, or I don't know their rationale and reasons, but it's just a big flop at high levels in most of the time. Will you be making things for Pathfinder now that you're playing it? Also love it when you get on a rant about something. Yeah, I know you do. Thank you. So our plan is for Lair magazine, as my team and I are learning more about Pathfinder 2nd edition, our plan is to start publishing things so that whatever we publish can be used both for 5th edition or for Pathfinder 2nd edition. That is our plan. That's going to take us some time to get there, but that is the plan, absolutely. We just got to get there first, right? We got to make sure that we learn the system well enough that we can competently publish good products for it. I don't want to publish garbage. All right, I got to get out of here. Dawson, this is the last super chat. Thank you, Dawson. Finished my 3.5 year long campaign recently. My first DMing ever. Cool, that's awesome. Thank you for all your QAs and videos over those years. I watched you the most. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. And I'm happy to have been able to help. You got through your campaign. It was oh wait, it was a 3.5 year long campaign. Oh, nice. You guys probably got to level 20. Sweet. That's awesome, man. Good job. Okay, cool. I need to do the giveaway. We're doing the giveaway now, and then I have to, I gotta get out of here. I have a meeting to go to. So we're doing the giveaway right now. I'm drawing the winner. How do I draw the winner? Winners, 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 winners. Draw winners. Let's do it. Let's do it. Draw them. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. All right. Oh my gosh. I think this guy just won a little bit ago. Maybe they didn't. Their name sounds familiar, but I could be wrong. No, this is a different person. Okay. T2 the monkey. T2 the monkey. You are the winner of the giveaway. I will be sending you an email at some point, and we'll get you hooked up with your stuff. So, okay, cool. That's it, folks. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm gonna leave now. I'm gonna go get some lunch, hang out with my friends from work, my old job and stuff like that. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody. It's been fun. Leaving now.